Ladies and gentlemen, consider yourselves lucky. You can watch the Hives do an interview at Rolling Stone Brasil. And this is to let you know that we got a new album called The Hives Forever, Forever the Hives, coming out on 29 de Agosto.
You guys are here in Brazil, of course. We're glad to have you, but I have to ask also, what the fuck are you doing here? What the hell are you doing here, guys? We're back 6 months later from their last concert.
Yeah, exactly. And people are still complaining that it's too late. We have come to Brazil to announce that we have a new album coming and a new song out now and a world tour. We're here telling you about that basically, and through the magic of technology and all your listeners and viewers, we will now let them know by saying that on camera.
Oh, that's great. So now we know that also, besides the album and the new single, you guys have a world tour to announce.
Yeah.
Already announced. What stage is that?
We are now announcing our world tour. There, did it. Unfortunately, no Brazil date yet, but we're hoping we'll get there next year. But it's also like Brazil was our last show. Like our last proper show was in Brazil, so we don't feel like we've been that mean to you. We're playing Australia this summer, and will have been 10 years since we did it last. So we've been nicer to the Brazilians than the Australians recently.
That's great. You guys just announced also a new album, The Hives Forever, Forever the Hives, for August 29. And this is the shortest gap between albums in your career as a band. What made you work differently this time around? Is Randy Fitzsimmons back?
He is not, but we finally figured out how to do it quicker maybe. And we also thought it would be nice, since we had 10 years of no new music, to pick up the pace a little bit. So we're just kind of evening out the gaps in our discography, I guess. But it feels really cool. We're going to see what happens with momentum. We think that the success of The Death of Randy Fitzsimmons plus the hopeful success of The Hives Forever, Forever the Hives equals 3.
You said before in other interviews that some of the songs on the new album have been around since the last one. Can you remember which ones have been around for a while and which ones are newer?
I think so. The oldest thing on this record is the riff that begins a song called Roll Out the Red Carpet. That is from the sessions for Tyrannosaurus Hives 21 years ago. So that's definitely the oldest thing on the record. But there's other stuff. There's a song called Paint a Picture that we played live for many years. A song called Bad Call that we played a version of like maybe a decade ago. So there is some, but there's also stuff that's totally fresh. It's a mix.
That's good to know. And it's safe to say this new album is in some way an extension of the last one, musically wise, or do you see any differences?
Well, I think they were meant to be very different, but I don't think they came out that different. I think we can't escape being the Hives, and it's just kind of, once we're finished, it's going to sound like the Hives. But the original plan was that they were going to be slightly more different, maybe. But, you know, it's sort of like, what's the best soccer player in Brazil these days?
Soccer player?
Yeah.
Oh, it's complicated. Maybe Vinny Jr. Not in Brazil, he plays in Spain, but Brazilian.
Yeah, it's just like kind of Vinny Jr., is that his name? He just scores all the time. When is he going to come up with something new? That's kind of what it's like with the Hives. We just make really great rock music. When are they going to come up with something new? We probably shouldn't, because we like winning. So we're going to just stay winning by sounding like the Hives.
In your press release, you guys defined this record as an album of 12 singles. Was it challenging at all to make an album like this?
Not for the Hives. Making a record with 12 singles is easy for us at this point in time. Had it been maybe then 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been hard maybe. But nowadays it's easy since we finally figured out how to do it.
That's great.
Crack the code. 2020, what is it? 2025.
Took us 30 years.
Yeah. Code cracker year for the Hives.
I was kind of surprised because Mike D from the Beastie Boys was one of the producers of the album. How did you come up with this name?
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking about who has the coolest sounding records of all time. And the answer is the Beastie Boys. And we want our record to sound cool, so we called Mike D. And it was really awesome. He came over, he did some stuff at home, and then he came over for a few days to work with us. And we got starstruck, which was cool because otherwise the whole crew working on the album is kind of the same since 1997. Like Pelle Gunnerfeldt, who produced most of it, is the guy that produced our first album. So that was so familiar that it was cool to add Mike D to the mix. We toured with the Beastie Boys in 2004 and hung out with them at like the BMAs and stuff. But we were always, been fans since we were children.
Oh, cool. And what do you think Mike's biggest contribution to the process was?
He sings 2 lines on a song and made it infinitely better. You just hear when he did it in the studio, we all kind of got goosebumps because that sounds like a Beastie Boy. That was the coolest moment of working with Mikey, I think. It sounded completely believable right away.
Cool. And you also had some guidance from Josh Homme from the Queens of the Stone Age during this album. How did he give this kind of advice?
It was mostly a thing over like the phone and email maybe. Pelle talked to him a bunch. He's a friend of ours for a very long time, and he's, as you know, pretty good at this thing called rock music. So therefore, just asked Josh what he thought about a couple things, and here we are. But he's not on the record. He's not singing or playing guitar or anything. It's just friendly advice.
Great. And what was his biggest contribution to the record, in your opinion?
Backup vocals should sound loud but far away. Passing the mic, like the Beastie Boys.
The word had already heard Enough Is Enough as the first single. Did you know from the beginning that this song would be the first single? Did it have the power from the moment you wrote it?
Well, probably. There's anything that we play in the rehearsal space has potential. They always have potential of being something great. And then things can go wrong or right during the course of making them. But yeah, it's one of those riffs that you remember, which is usually a good sign. I would
like to know about the music video recording. Was it as fun as it looked?
Well, it's, recording a video is usually, I'm not sure it's either our favorite, we can wing it when we're put on the spot, need to record a video and stuff. But I actually thought this one was kind of fun. I mean, it's a long day and you're going to, shoot different angles and stuff. And it's very time consuming and long and stuff. I kind of enjoyed, sitting there watching a little bit of boxing, watching people scream, It's not my least favorite thing in the world.
They don't seem to agree much.
Yeah, I had to be almost naked for most of it, which in front of 200 Romanians.
Yeah, also favorite part.
which I love.
Speaking about the album cover, you guys are not going to wear big capes and crowns on your shows, am I right?
Probably.
Probably going to use it, or probably not going?
Probably not going to use it.
And what will the show look this time around?
I mean, we'll see. But I guess we kind of started the new era of the Hives in a way. We played a few shows in South America, Peru, and Colombia, yeah. So I think we're kind of showing a few cards of the deck at least.
There's a particular sentence on the album's press release that caught my attention. You call yourselves at still your new favorite band. And I know the idea is have a good sense of humor, make references to the old compilation album, but I feel like you still treat it like a new band and hopefully a new favorite band, at least here in Brazil. Being treated like a new band is good or a bad thing for you guys?
It's a good thing. The reason why we're being treated as a new band is because we're so good that people can't believe it's happening. They always think it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. Like, great rock and roll is great rock and roll, and that'll kind of hit you in the eye and make you sweaty and bloody and all those things that whatever comes from a good party. But the reason why we're being treated as a new band is because we're so energetic and good.
And related to that, I saw Pelle say in an interview that it's already possible to see a kind of a renewal of the Hives audience. A lot of young people are getting to know the band right now. And considering that the Hives are a very young spirit band, how important is this renewal to you guys?
Oh, that's everything. Like, we need to get a new generation of 15-year-olds every year. It's like we're vampires. That's what keeps us young. We need a new front line of children in the first row that we can drink their blood and stay young. And I think rock and roll dies if there's no regrowth of the crowd. Like, we've been around for a long time, and we've seen many of our favorite bands kind of go that route where it's like, it's the same people, but less and less of them, and they're less and less excited. And you kind of can't sustain it if that happens. So we're very lucky and happy and glad that we have a good regrowth. It's kind of like when we were children, the only people that had several generations were like Bruce Springsteen and Iron Maiden, maybe. And now it's us.
That's also another reason why people think we're a new band. People think we're a new band as much as they think we're a classic band.
New classic.
Yeah, classic.
It's obvious that you guys have a good relationship with Brazil. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But what do you think that helped to create this connection between the Hives and Brazil?
It's a little weird. I mean, pretty much from maybe not the first record, but I think from the second record, we got all those emails of people telling us to come to Brazil. Like we heard rumors about being like #1 in Brazilian sort of cassette swapping charts or whatever they were. I mean, and it was very early on. Like, I mean, this was like late 90s or something, where people were saying, you know, that, oh, well, that would have been like early 2000 then. Like people were saying, like, you're really popular in Brazil, but we just never really came. But so for some reason, maybe, whatever. Maybe great rock and roll resonates with Brazilians. I'd like to think of it as that way. Brazilians might recognize quality in rock and roll.
I believe your most recent shows in Brazil are still fresh in our memories. You played at the Primavera Sound Festival in São Paulo in 2023, and then returned for a solo show also in São Paulo last October. What memories do you have of those two shows?
I'm going to pass the mic to someone with a memory on this one.
Yeah, please, not me.
I still have a little bit of a memory left. I remember the Primavera show was extremely hot, muito calor. It was sun straight in your face. The shoes were melting into the floor, and I had to lie in a freezer for part of the show and sing. So that was the most memorable thing about that we almost died. And then the last show, which was our last real show as the Hives, was what's that place called?
Tokyo Marine Hall.
Tokyo Marine Hall, exactly. It's a very wide place. There was a lot of people. It was the last show of our massive world tour for the Death of Randy Fitzsimmons, and I just remember, like, you knew it was going to be a good one because we went up and there's this break in the first song, Bogus of Brandy, where the crowd usually sings the line. And it was like the loudest thing on earth. And then you knew, like, this is a good one. And it was. So, yeah, we can't wait to play it to the Brazilians again.
Wish I was there.
And hear them scream, everyone's a little fucking bitch, in unison.
Now that you no longer have Randy Fitzsimmons, is it correct to say that the sixth member of the Hives is your social media manager? Because the Hives Instagram profile is a show in itself.
Yeah, no, that's partly us, actually. Pretty good with technology these days. You got to improvise, adapt, and overcome. Maybe because of our, we're down with the kids in the technology department. That's why people think we're a young band. We're just very, very social media skills are off the chart,
Yeah, but is there any person to help you guys, or who are the people that help behind Instagram?
There are people, but we're pretty involved in it ourselves too. It's just kind of fun that in the olden days of yore, in the medieval ages when we formed the band, it was impossible to communicate with fans. And now there's all these tools where you can just kind of like, the fans can communicate with us and we can communicate with them. And you just kind of enjoy that process a little bit.
Something I've always been personally curious to know, you guys are from Sweden, and all I know besides you about Swedish music is ABBA, and especially hard rock and heavy metal music. It's impossible for you guys to say that you don't like ABBA. So I'd like to ask, do you guys like Swedish hard rock and heavy metal bands?
Yeah, there's so many good ones. We're like, basically, we're the middle ground between Entombed, Meshuggah, and ABBA. And that's the Hives, basically. And I don't know, At the Gates, awesome band. Any other good metal from Sweden recently? Europe. That's more on the ABBA end of the spectrum. Anything else? Refused, awesome band. I think Entombed is my favorite. Everybody pick a favorite.
Refused.
Soundtrack of our lives.
Is that metal?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going with Entombed.
Entombed.
Yeah, if we were talking heavy metal and hard rock, I would have to say Entombed as well.
Great.
Entombed win.
I was just talking like 3 hours ago with Tobias Ford from Ghost.
Oh, yeah,
also
cool, yeah.
Swedish, right? Do you guys enjoy their music?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's also more on the ABBA end of the spectrum.
Going back a little, your second album, Veni Vidi Vidi.
Yeah, I know it's tough, man.
It's hard. You agree with me? It turns 25 this month. It was the album that gave us some of your most popular songs, like Hate to Say I Told You So, Main Offender. Looking back, how do you see that album today and how important it was in your career?
I think that album's like everything. That's the album that started everything. Like, I remember when we put out our first record, Barely Legal, I think they pressed 500 and were worried that they were going to sell them all. And then when Benedictus, I think they pressed like 1,500 albums. And I think it sold like millions. And we didn't know anyone was going to like it, but we really put everything into that record. And that record is probably the reason we're here today. Like that, I think it means everything for us as a band, and it's like we also consider it almost like the start of what we are. Like that's the one where we kind of found that whatever our sound still is, kind of. I think the Berligo is almost like that weird hippie flute band Bon Scott was in before he joined AC/DC.
And for my last question, what are you guys looking for the most to do in Brazil while you're here?
Caipirinha, feijoada, obrigado.
What about the other guys?
Roam around Sao Paulo, man. It's a beautiful city to hang out in, and we're trying to have as much fun as we can while we're not working, talking to people like you. So looking forward to not talking for a while, just walking around.
The 45 minutes we're not working.
I don't know. I'm supposed to dance tonight. That'll be fucking interesting.
I'm looking forward to watching Johan dance.
That'd be fun.
Agreed.
That's it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. It was a pleasure.
That's great.